Okay, we are back with our live coverage of the CFP Connections Conference in the Windy City, Chicago. And up next we have Erin Koeppel, who is the Managing Director for Governmental Affairs for the CFP Board. Erin, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Chuck, for having me. I'm really excited to be here today at the CFP Board Connections Conference. You know, here at CFP Board, we are a standard-setting organization. We have 106,000 CFP professionals. And as the head of public policy at CFP Board, I know that we're uniquely positioned to strengthen the profession and protect the public through public policy priorities that we've recently adopted.
All right, well that sounds fantastic. A good way to kick us off here. So I'm a CFP. I've been a CFP for, 25 years and such. So that's important to us. And I think one of the most important things that you all do as an organization is get the word out to the public.
Yep.
So with all that said, for some framing, what are some of your top priorities for this coming year?
Absolutely. So we've recently adopted a set of comprehensive public policy priorities. Some of the things that we've been focused on for a very long time, and a couple things that reflect our increasing focus on supporting the profession. So
I have to acknowledge, holy smoke, we got all the next-gen advisors right over there. I should probably pan to that later.
We've got a lot of young folks here, and you can feel the excitement in the room.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to give the audience a little heads up.
No, absolutely. It feels, you can really feel it. You're taking it in as we're talking here.
Huge amount of energy, and you guys do such a great job of bringing in the next-gen advisor, which we're going to talk about with other guests. But please continue with the priorities.
Absolutely. No, and absolutely. I think, on that note, one of our priorities is to increase access to financial planning and to increase the number of financial planners. So these students here are really reflecting where we want to go as an organization to make sure that all Americans have access to financial planning. And that includes just simply increasing the number of financial planners. There's a couple ways that we're working on this. One is for Americans to access tax incentives for financial planning. We know that only 1/3 of Americans right now have a financial plan, and we know that there is really a lot of value in financial planning. The World Economic Forum shows that if you work with a professional financial planner, that you're saving 7.5% of your income per year. So we're looking to incentivize people to access financial planners, and we're also looking to bring more financial planners into the profession through things like covering certification fees with 529 plans. So there was recently a bill that was incorporated into the tax and spending package this past July called the Freedom to Invest in Tomorrow's Workforce Act, and it expanded the use of 529 plans for certification, education, continuing education, things like that. We're really hoping that candidates for certification and current CFP professionals will take advantage of that as it starts to take effect.
That's fantastic. So something we talk a lot about on goRIA, which is the importance for fiduciary care,
Yep.
and also the importance of having consumers be able to more easily discern
Yep.
between advisors that are giving advice and salespeople that are selling things,
Absolutely.
right? Or as I like to call them, the Pinots. Do you know what a Pinot is?
Yes.
Planner in name only,
Yep,
right?
exactly.
And I am very anti-Pinot, and I know you guys are as well.
Absolutely.
How are you helping consumers better differentiate between real planners and these Pinots?
Yeah. So we're hoping that we can make the fiduciary standard a legal requirement. That's really our first priority. That is our bread and butter. That's what drives really our entire agenda and everything that we do. We know that research has shown that people assume that they are working with a fiduciary planner. And we think that people deserve that fiduciary advice. And so historically, we've been working on this issue for a long time. For example, the Department of Labor's fiduciary rule, most recently the retirement security rule, which is still pending actually in the courts. We know that that probably isn't going to go anywhere in the near term, but we'll be continuing to fight and push that forward and working on that issue really every day. It really drives everything that we do.
Okay, so something that you mentioned there, and I say this all the time, and that is still most people assume everyone's a fiduciary.
Yep.
Well, how can you not be a fiduciary at XYZ broker-dealer? I just gave you $2 million to manage. I assume you're a fiduciary.
Right.
not necessarily, yes?
That's right. That's right. People assume that folks are, but they may not be, and we think that really needs to change because everyone deserves fiduciary advice. They deserve someone that's working in their best interest. And another thing that we're working on too, Chuck, is really increasing protections for consumers as well as education. And so we're really looking to make sure that folks have appropriate guardrails when they're investing, that they're protected, and that others have resources to protect others from frauds, from scams, from financial exploitation, particularly our most vulnerable populations like senior citizens, and also the victims of frauds. You may not know this, but victims of Ponzi schemes are able to deduct their losses, but victims of other kinds of frauds, like romance frauds, romance scams that we're hearing a lot about these days, are not. So we've endorsed legislation that would,
random. Okay.
that would allow those folks to also be able to deduct those losses. People are being victimized every day, and so one of the things that we're really prioritizing is helping those folks and protect them from the bad actors out there.
So if you get snookered by one of these guys that I've seen like on Dateline, which my wife loves that show.
Right.
Why is that? Why do women love that show so much?
Everybody loves that kind of
stuff.
stuff.
Oh my God.
Right?
She loves it. I'm like, is it Dateline again? Shocker. But if you're ripped off by one of these romance scam artists, and I've seen those episodes, that's treated differently than like a Bernie Madoff?
Yeah, you have to really be a victim of a very particular kind of fraud to be able to deduct the losses that you've experienced as a victim of that fraud. And so there's a Representative Raskin, Representative Stubbe. They've introduced legislation to try to deal with that, and we're in huge support of that because people are really in need. It's a huge epidemic, actually.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, so as we're coming up on time here, what are some parting thoughts, like the number one item you want to try to get pushed through next year? What would you say that is?
Yeah, I would say we're really focused on helping the profession, strengthening the profession. So things like working on tax reform, we've been heavily involved in that this past year. The conversation was all about tax, and so we've been working on things that would help financial planners in that regard. Things like the qualified business income deduction, Section 199A, but also at the state level too. There are professional taxes and things that we want to see either opposed or that we would like to repeal. And so those are things we're working on really for the business of financial planning. And also I'd say, protecting consumers in this time. There's a lot of market uncertainty, there's a lot of complexity out there. We really want to make sure that people are getting what they need. Federal workers, people are anxious, people are nervous, they're worried about the future. And so we want to be able to help those who we have access to. 106,000 CFP professionals is really covering a lot of American families, and we know that we can help them strengthen, especially their retirement security in the future.
Okay, well that's a great place to put a pin in it for today. Erin Koeppel, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Chuck.
You bet.
All right,
okay,
thanks.
You bet. So stay tuned. We're here for the rest of today and tomorrow. We have 3 more segments coming up. I'll be back in another 45 minutes with some more content and our next guest, and I will see you then. Thanks for joining us.